It's thinking. There we are. Let me mute myself. Okay, we are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube and we are ready to go whenever you would like to call the meeting to session. Chairman Rivera.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Good afternoon, everyone. The time is 2:37 and I'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Texas Board of Law Examiners to order. This is an emergency board meeting being convened pursuant to Texas Government Code section 551.045 subpart C to discuss and deliberate the status of the February 2021 bar exam in light of developing and new circumstances related to the COVID-19 pandemic and the appearance of a new variant. I will note for the record that we have full attendance. Thank you, board members, for meeting on such short notice to discuss this important matter. And so we have a quorum and we are prepared to move forward. I want to say a couple of things before we get started. That first of all, as always, I hope that you and yours are staying as safe as you can under the circumstances which continue to develop, and we are clearly not out of the woods. I also just want to make a brief, it feels like I have to acknowledge like the collective experience that we all went through last week. It is still, for me, a very somber time for all of us. We'll see how it all shakes out. But I tell you what, I look forward very much to getting together with all of you, because you know that besides being my board members, fellow board members in this important task, you're also my friends. And there's nothing better than having friends around you at this time. So you all continue to stay safe and know that I think about you all and keep each of you and your families in my prayers every day. So agenda item number 2, consider communications from the public. Ms. Gonzalez, do we have anybody from the public that
We have one member of the public present, and that's Dean Mike Berry.
Great. Can you bring him in, please?
I will do so now.
Dean Berry, good afternoon.
Good day. How are you?
Doing fine, sir. Thanks for joining us. We are at the public comments part of the meeting, and you have graciously appeared and like to give you an opportunity. The minute that we give you to say a few words if you'd like.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. Happy New Year to all the board members. I hope you didn't promise to Nadia that 2021 would be easier than 2020. I appreciate the difficulties that you are facing. In fact, here at South Texas, we have a meeting of our emergency operations management team at 3:30 today to address how we are going to deliver our classes for the next couple of weeks, given everything that is going on. So we fully understand the significance of the issues that you face. A couple of thoughts real quickly. Number one is our students have been studying now for 4 weeks or more for the bar exam, which is now 6 weeks and a day out. As you are anticipating and thinking about the decisions, making a decision that to the best of our ability we can stick with, rather than making a tentative decision that we will revisit in a couple of weeks, is crucially important for them. As they are planning for their preparations, if the decision is to make an online exam, excellent. They can now start using that modality to prepare for the exam, and it gives them the ability to make sure that they are prepared and in the best position possible. They can adapt with enough opportunity. Second is, please recognize, as you already have, that the online exam introduces some new wrinkles and challenges that a paper exam does not. In the fall, this board, I thought very wisely, extended the range down to 665 of those folks who would get a second review. As you are looking at this now in the 270 environment, introducing that same degree of flexibility for the online exam in February is something that I would commend you to think about, please. I think that was a great decision that you made in the fall, and repeating that in the spring likely makes sense. In addition, there are little logistical details that have potentially significant effects, and sometimes unanticipated effects on students and their ability to perform to their best. And that's the same goal that all of us have, is making sure that the students have the opportunity to do their best work on this exam and demonstrate their capabilities. We have learned when we have set up our exams online that little things that we didn't anticipate had a big difference, and we've gone back and actually involved students in the process. If I might be so bold as to recommend that if the decision is an online exam, make that announcement today. We will be doing an online exam. But then some of the little logistics, if there might be an opportunity for a follow-up meeting in the next couple of days to determine a little bit here, a little bit there, those little decisions can have a significant effect on how the students are able to perform. And we might be able to assist in making this a fairer and better experience for all takers, as well as for those who are administering the exam. Thank you again for your thoughtfulness, for your continued concern for not only our graduates, but also for the state and the interests that we all represent. As Chairman Rivera has said many times, we are co-stewards of this. We are all in this together. We have the same interests of working together to make sure that the right students who are prepared for this exam are able to take and pass that exam and represent our citizens as we continue to evolve in our state. So I look forward to working with you, not only as we prepare for February, but now that the NCBE has announced that in 4 or 5 years, they want to do everything differently as we prepare for that new exam coming soon to a bar near you. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, and I look forward to working with you. Augie, you're muted, I'm afraid.
You're muted, Augie.
It's the first time to be able to say that in 2021.
Yeah. Dean, thank you as always for your input and your support. Appreciate you being here always. Good luck with your decision this afternoon as you continue your important work at the school, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take care. Stay safe. Okay. Any other comments from the public?
There are no other public members of the public in the waiting room, Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. We'll move now to the main order of business, which is agenda item number 3, to consider the status of the February 2021 Texas bar exam, including whether to administer the exam in person or remotely. I will turn it over to Ms. Wong, our interim executive director. Nadia.
Thank you, Chair. So what I want to talk, I want to be quick, but I also don't want to miss anything. So I'm going to recap what we talked about at the December meeting, and then I'm going to talk briefly about what's changed, and then discuss, the options that we have going forward. So at the last meeting, we did discuss the benefits and advantages of an in-person exam are that it offers better resources for the examinee because they do get the paper exam to work from. And we're able to support examinees better in an in-person situation. And there's better exam security in an in-person situation. The biggest complaint that we got from examinees about the online October exam was working with the NPT. There are some difficult, there are some things that they have to get used to about toggling between the answer box, the notes box, the fact pattern, and the library. And, this just takes some getting used to. There aren't going to be any changes. This issue is going to still be there. So that was the biggest complaint, and there's not a whole lot we can do about that other than, as Dean Barry pointed out, make the decision quickly and give the examinees lots of opportunity to work with the new tech, with that technology. At the last meeting, we also talked about our safety plan, which included social distancing, reduced capacity, and masks. That this had been improved for an in-person exam in the last cycle. We ended up going with a different hotel model, but we followed basically the same protocols. And a lot of other jurisdictions went through the last exam cycle in person using similar safety plans. And there's no evidence that COVID was spread during the exam. And then the last thing we talked about is that if we did give the in-person exam, that we would be able to offer a remote option to people with documented disabilities. So those are sort of the three things that went into our decision. So the board did vote to go forward with the in-person exam. There was a lot of discussion. It wasn't a unanimous vote. And there was also a lot of discussion about when is the last day that we can switch to a remote exam. The official last day has passed, but we have gotten special permission tomorrow, basically, the bottom line is tomorrow is the last day that we would be able to switch, given the needs that the NCBE has and given the needs that the ExamSoft has. So what's changed in the short week since we made this is the variant. The COVID-19 variant it's been reported in Houston. The variant apparently is more transmissible. It's not more, it doesn't make people sicker. It just spreads more easily. So I did reach out to the Department of the DSHS and talked to their general counsel, who has been following this very, very closely. And I'm just going to read to you what she told me in an email. She said, "I confirm."
And Ms. Wong, who is that? Who is the general counsel?
Barbara Klein.
Okay, thanks.
I confirmed with our chief infectious disease doc, and she says that the CDC guidance at this time is to use the same safety precautions with the new variant as with the current virus. No changes are recommended. The new variant is just that, new, and this guidance could change at any time. If you want to check back with me closer to the exam date, I'll be happy to let you know if anything changes. I'll also try to remember to let you know if I hear of any changes in the guidance. And then she thanked us for our good work. So that's what we have. Our current safety plan, as far as everybody knows, would work, but it's a new variant and things can change at any time. The other thing that's changed is unexpectedly, ExamSoft has decided that they cannot offer the remote exam to our accommodated applicants. So if we were to go forward under the current configuration, we would have to come up with something else other than a remote exam for anyone who is immunocompromised or otherwise can't take the exam in person because of a documented disability. So that's a change. A couple of things that aren't changing, and I want to be very, very clear about this. We are not changing the content of the exam. It's the UBE, whether we give it in person or remotely. We're not changing the date of the exam, whether we give it in person or remotely. It's still going to be February 23rd and 24th. And we're not changing any deadlines for the examinees if we were to switch to remote. The ExamSoft registration opens today. So it's possible that some of our examinees would have a little bit less time with the software than other UBE examinees, but otherwise there's really no change. So that brings us to the three options. One is the remote option. It's still available, but tomorrow is our last chance to switch to the remote option. The deposits that we've already paid to the Hilton and to the Arlington Convention Center and to the venue in Lubbock, those can all either be rolled over to future dates or simply recovered in the case of so there's no issue there. There are some additional or different expenses to giving it in person, to giving it remotely. We wouldn't have the expense of proctors and we wouldn't have the expense of sites, but the technology is more expensive. So that's just something, and I can go into detail about that. It's not, it's slightly more expensive. The technology is slightly more expensive doing it remotely. The hotel option is potentially still an option, but I will say we have not been planning a dual exam. So we haven't been planning in person and also hotel. So we have not done any planning on the hotel exam. Also with the new variant, if it's more transmissible, it's more transmissible. So the concerns that we have about giving the exam in a kind of convention hall situation are still there in the hotel situation when we're talking about the new variant. The other thing that we learned is that we as staff can manage the traditional in-person exam much better than we can manage the hotel exam. So we can enforce safety protocols better in person than we can in the hotels. And we can respond to emergencies more quickly in the traditional setting than we can in the hotel setting. So I just want to be very honest and clear about that. And then, so in-person is obviously still an option. Of course, after today, the only real alternative to an in-person exam would be to cancel the exam if we determine after today that it's not safe to go forward with the in-person exam. So that is the broad outline, and I'm open to any questions y'all may have.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. First, so do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I think that the new variant, it was always a balancing act. And in December, I was very comfortable going forward with the in-person exam, but this new variant I think has tipped it in favor of a remote exam.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any questions for Ms. Wong? Yes, Ms. Orr?
I was wondering if anyone from the Texas Department of Health or the folks that we had been conferring with in the past gave you any insight and informed your recommendation.
They did, in that what I just read to you, that it's a new variant, and at this point, they are still recommending the same safety precautions, but this could change at any time.
I see.
Yeah.
That's not comforting.
Right.
And over the weekend, I would add that the variant strain has been detected here in Corpus Christi. So, board members, any other questions for Ms. Wong about where we are and what they're recommending?
It has nothing to do with the new variant, but I'm just going to say that I didn't think we should do it in December, and I don't think we should do it now. So if that's a motion, I'll put it on the floor. I don't know that the reason for changing it matters.
Are you saying, but you're saying not do it in February? You're saying no exam at all, or are you saying?
No, I'm saying just we should do it online the way the majority of states apparently are going to be doing it in February. If I'm
In that case, I'd second Barbara's motion.
Okay. The board members, a motion's been made by Ms. Ellis and seconded by Mr. Soltero to accept staff's recommendation and switch over to the remote online administration of the February bar examination. Any further discussion? Any further questions?
Mr. Rivera, I know that Dean Berry calculated 6 weeks, maybe in a day. That's a long time, so I think that helps us weigh in favor of making a firm decision now that if we stick with what we've got, we may come to regret it.
Ms. Wong, if we do it remotely, will we administer it the same way, or do you anticipate there will be some changes in how we administer it?
That's an excellent question. There's a couple of things that we will do differently. One thing that we did last time that we didn't is we did make very generous arrangements for people who didn't have a quiet place to take the exam, and we'll do that again. And the other thing that we'll do differently is during the exam itself, we as staff will be more prepared to respond to people who do run into technical difficulties. We've learned a lot, and there are a couple of people who were not able to finish the exam last time because of technical difficulties, and now we know what we can do so that those people would have been able to finish the exam. So, but otherwise, no, the technology is the same. It's just, oh, well, yes. The other thing that I would recommend is that we do allow people to wear earplugs. We didn't allow this last time because it was my understanding that that the NCBE wouldn't allow it, but earplugs are going to be allowed. I think we would allow earplugs. The other thing is scratch paper would be different. Because we're giving the UBE, we're not able to offer scratch paper on the essays. So no scratch paper would be available on the essays. I don't think this will have a huge impact. Even on the NBE, on the NPT, I don't think a lot of people ended up using physical scratch paper. They ended up doing everything online. But that, yeah, so there might be, as Dean Berry pointed out, some logistics that we'll do differently this time to make it a better experience for the examinees.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Orr.
And I'm not sure how much is appropriate to discuss here versus to go into executive session, but some of the security concerns that we had about the last round, have there been changes in that, or do we anticipate some of those same concerns if we administer remotely in February?
That's an excellent question. Again, the technology is the same. One thing that that we'll do differently is make it very, very clear to the examinees that they're responsible for following the protocols. They're responsible for making sure they stay in camera the whole time, and just get the messaging a lot stronger. So that if we do have violations, our character and fitness team will feel more comfortable acting, enforcing, invalidating exams basically for failure to follow those protocols. But otherwise, it's the exact same technology with a lot of the same concerns.
I think we ought to add to that. While it may not rise to the level of a character and fitness violation, it would still constitute an examination rule violation, and either one of those may subject the scores to being, I don't know what the right term is, embargoed at least while we review it, and potentially set aside and not considered.
Yeah, that's an excellent distinction. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it up, Ms. McKim, and for elaborating, Mr. McKenzie. Still a real concern, but I think Nadia's looking at that too. Board members, any other questions or concerns or comments? Well, I personally want to thank Nadia for acting on it so promptly. It came up last week, and we, because she and staff moved on it as quickly as they did, we are now in a position where it remains a viable option for us to consider. If there's nothing else further that anyone else wants to say, then we'll go ahead and call the question. And just one clarification again, because I think it bears worth repeating. Unlike in the fall where we actually had two substantively different exams, this is the same exam we would have administered in person. It's just a different mode of delivery.
Correct. This is the same UBE that we would have given in person, same UBE that all the other UBE jurisdictions are giving.
Okay. All right, board members, we have a motion before us. All in favor of the motion to adopt staff's recommendation and move over to the remote exam for February 2021, please indicate by saying aye or raising your hand in the screen.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. There you go, Ms. Wong. That's a stirring mandate. Thank you so much. And thank you all, the staff, for being here. Last thing I want to say is on Saturday, I had the privilege of representing you on a panel before the American Academy of Law Schools. It was a panel of bar examiners, and we talked about bar examining and what we do. And there were some nuts and bolts, including what we've been doing in the last year. And I've got to say that it wasn't a good give and take, because it was like this Zoom, which I continue to think sucks. But I said that. But there was a chat function on the right side, and you could see people saying things. And I got to tell you, I was very proud of you all, because there were more than a couple of comments that complimented Texas and said that they recognized that we'd gone through a lot and put in a lot of effort, and actually did this incredible thing of giving the bar exam twice, in 2 months. So Your efforts do not go unrecognized, and I appreciate each and every one of you folks. So is that it, Ms. Wong?
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure, Barbara.
Dean Barry mentioned the cut score issue. Are we going to discuss that at our regular meeting, or is that not an issue?
No, I think it'd be appropriate to discuss it, not here and now. Let's let Ms. Wong look at it and then maybe brief us and follow up on it. It may be something we need to discuss in closed session. So, but we'll take it up here shortly. And I do intend to follow up with Dean Barry also.
I would be interested to know what other jurisdictions are doing if we are going to discuss it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, folks, unless there's anything else, then we'll go ahead and adjourn, and we'll see you all on Friday. Okay. Y'all take care, and thank you very much. Be safe.